Good morning. I am back to talk a little bit more about anxiety. So what I want to talk about today is just some quick ways to manage anxiety. We've done a lot of education about it. We know that our bodies go into fight or flight if we feel unsafe, whether it's a real threat or a perceived threat. And remember, anxiety comes about when we are in these situations that we perceive as dangerous, but are actually not necessarily dangerous to our physical well-being. Okay, we've also talked about ways to calm down the body. And the last thing we did was talk about some cognitive shifts we can make. So we can practice thought stopping or, giving ourselves some realistic alternatives to some of those fearful things that we think, which contribute to the anxiety cycle. So what I'm going to do briefly today is just give you some more really basic things. And if you watched any of my videos about seasonal affective disorder, you're going to notice that some of these sound the same or very similar, and that's because our bodies are amazing and it responds anxiety. When we're dealing with anxiety, it's very similar to what we do to manage depression. So some very simple things you can do if you struggle with anxiety: eat well, sleep well, which I know can be difficult if you're anxious because you could be laying awake worrying about things. However, sleep well. Avoid excess caffeine if you can, because that hypes up our body. Avoid excess alcohol if you can. Avoid smoking if you can. Make sure you're practicing some sort of mindfulness, some sort of meditation, breathing, anything to just calm our bodies down. Another very, very useful technique is journaling. If you find yourself worried about I don't know, like what are you going to do at the holidays, right? Because that's coming up. You can just journal. Here's what I could do. If my family's getting to be a little bit too much, I'm going to take a 5-minute break or whatever. Sometimes just writing those things down really helps to manage some of those anxious thoughts that we have. A couple other things: make sure that you are getting proper vitamins and minerals in your diet. Just make sure you're getting that, because sometimes we can see some issues arise if we're not getting the proper vitamins. I'm not a nutritionist at all, so that's the disclaimer on this. However, magnesium is very helpful for anxiety. Look into it. Talk to your healthcare professional if that's something you feel you need to add into your diet. After talking to the healthcare professional, go ahead, right? So easy things to start managing anxiety in a more natural way. If you're finding that your anxiety is really affecting you in your work, in your profession, in your personal life, if you're not able to have much of a social life, if you're just feeling the anxiety is over the top, you always have the option for medication. You'd have to talk to a healthcare professional about that as well. Some people do very, very well with an as-needed anti-anxiety med. Some people need to take one every day. Again, today we're talking about ways to manage that more naturally. So just so you know, the medication's not off the table, but in my practice, I always try to treat people kind of more holistically. And the last thing I want to talk about really quickly when it comes to managing anxiety is this one thing. You have control over one thing and one thing only, and that's yourself. So you may feel like some situation is spiraling out of control, and maybe it is. And one way you can manage your anxiety is by managing yourself, recognizing that you're becoming anxious, recognizing what's going on here, and taking steps to manage that. Whatever you need to do to manage that in a healthy way. You can control you. You can't control what other people do. You can't control certain situations. You can only control how you respond. So when you start doing that, start putting some of those practices into place, that can help to reduce some of that anxiety. So it's a pretty quick one today. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys is if you have certain things that are really causing you anxiety, certain situations, if you could private message me those, or if you're comfortable to drop them in the comments, then I will do a video addressing those specific things. Okay, so private message me or drop them in the comments, and then we can kind of chat about those specific issues you are having. As always, take good care of yourself. Share, comment if you want, private message me if you need. Take a little bit of time for yourself today, and I will talk to you later. Bye.